All right, good morning. This week we're going to be taking a look at the terms and conditions of Priceline.com. There are a few questions that we're going to address as well as take a look at some things that pop up along the way. So, with all that said, let's dig in. Here is Priceline.com. So the first thing we're going to look at is whether me using this site is going to be a valid contract or not. Well, first off, I'd say, well, technically, no, it's not off the bat, but they are providing me a link to their terms and conditions. So they are going to be protected under browse wrap law, which basically means that since I am browsing their website, their terms and conditions are going to be assumed that I am accepting them for being on their website since they are providing me this link right here to their site. Now, what happens if I sign in? I will have to provide a username and password along with other information. So that means they're going to be, I'm going to be bound to them by click wrap law, which means that I have agreed by manually clicking on and accepting the terms myself. So in the end, it is a valid contract and they are protected by law. Um, these days, several courts are upholding now, like a case here in Florida between Vitacoast.com and James McCants here in February 2017. The plaintiff claims that he purchased supplements online from Vitacoast, which caused liver damage. The Vitacoast people claim that the arbitration clause and conditions is controlled, but the courts disagreed because the method and placement of their browse wrap terms on their website. We'll talk a little bit more about the arbitration clauses here a little bit later. So now going forth on what I said earlier in the first question, visitors don't actually have to click that they do agree to any of these terms and conditions. Um, while the websites aren't all the same, like they're not all covered by the browse wrap law, that means they're not giving consent presumed for being on the website, and that a link is not provided so you can view all the terms. While courts are likely to uphold the browse wrap agreements, you are more likely to enforce a legal agreement clicking through a click wrap agreement, meaning you did get consent. Well, so now that I am a visitor of Priceline.com, can I sue them? Well, no, I can't. I mean, I'd like to, but I really can't. So they do have this clause here, which does require mandatory arbitration. Um, and it says here that it requires that any and all claims must be resolved by binding arbitration or in small claims court, and that it prevents you from pursuing a class action or similar proceeding in any forum. These limitations apply to any claims against Priceline, its subsidiaries or affiliates, or any travel service providers or companies offering products or services through this site. So right there, that means that I cannot sue them. It goes on to say that there is an exception to arbitration that I can file in small claims court, but here in section E, it says that you or any third party further agree that no proceeding against Priceline, its subsidiaries or affiliates, or any travel services providers or companies offering products or services through the site may proceed in a class action. So it goes on further to say that I cannot sue them right there more. So they basically have done a great job of protecting themselves against any legal action. And here in section K, it goes on to say that if you or any third party do not choose to accept this binding arbitration provision, you or such third party must notify Priceline in writing by certified mail within 30 days of your purchase or before you begin to use these services, whichever date is sooner. Such notice shall be sent to the notice address defined in subsection B above. If you notify us that time that you do not accept these binding arbitration provisions, you or any such third party may not continue to purchase services or products on the site until Priceline notifies you or such third party otherwise. Priceline shall have the right to prohibit you in such third party future purchases or services on the site. So what they're saying there is that if I do not agree, that I can be banned from Priceline, um, and that I will still have to go through the arbitration provision to continue to use the site if I do want to. But being honest, if I have a problem with them and it gets resolved and everything's all good in the end, chances are I probably wouldn't be back. But that's just a different story. So the one thing that I do not see in this arbitration clause is whether or not it is binding or a non-binding arbitration. The difference between the two is that binding means that once the decision is final, it is what it is. Or in the other case, non-binding means that if neither one of us like the outcome of the results, that we can take it to court. But I think that since there is a lot of legal information going on in here, that it's going to be presumed that it is binding clause, since it does say that um, that there will be no further actions in a courtroom or any of that, no class actions. But the nice thing is that um, right here in subsection G, it says that if you prevail in the arbitration of any claim against Priceline and are awarded an amount greater than Priceline's last written settlement offered to you, Priceline will pay a minimum recovery of $5,000 to reimburse you for any reasonable attorney fees. So if I win, and it's basically saying here that Priceline will cover my fees, which is very nice of them. So now, what changes will I make here? Well, I would start by making it more of a click wrap agreement, because a lot of people aren't going to know that because they're on a website that they are being held to the terms and conditions. Like, honestly, I would have never known that I am agreeing to their terms and conditions unless it was for this course and this week's assignment. So I would basically, if I do a search on Priceline.com, um, I have the thing here that says by clicking to this booking, I agree to the booking conditions listed in the terms and conditions and privacy policy. There I'm agreed to it. But if I just did a regular search here on Priceline.com, let's say I want to go to Orlando. Let's check in the 31st and check out the 20th. Search for one hotel. Yeah, see, there I did not have to click anything, I agreed to the terms and conditions that were listed. I would, at minimum, have an email address and a name, so that way you can activate the account later saying that you agreed to the terms and conditions in there as well. Next, I would send out yearly reminders of the terms and conditions. Every year in my email, I get a notification of updated or reminding me of the terms and conditions that I have signed up for in my credit card companies and so forth like that. And I think it's a fantastic idea just to keep people reminded that you did sign up and that you are agreeing to these terms and conditions. I would also give an easy way out, because with credit cards, you're bound to them a little bit longer than, say, you are using Priceline.com, depending on what your balances are and stuff like that. But giving people a way to opt out of the terms and condition, or the emails that you receive about the terms and conditions on Priceline, would be a great way. So that way you're not cluttering people's emails and so forth. And lastly, I would Apple has a unique way of making people agree to their services. Um, when you're signing up for a service on Apple, you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom and actually agree it to their services. Um, I think that is a really fantastic idea just because it makes people have to scroll through it and read it before you hit accept. So that means, it like normally when I get something new, I just scroll to the bottom, hit accept, and go on so I can use the products. I'm too excited to spend the time reading that. And in my case, I have to read through it several times to really grasp on what I'm reading. So making sure that people spend the time and have to read through it is a great idea to help protect them. Well, that is my little audit on Priceline's terms and conditions. Um, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic month, and I appreciate it. Thank you.